And I just want to ask you a question. Would you marry you? Let's really think about that for a moment. Would you marry you? You know, so often as women, we look at our husbands, right? We judge our husbands, we criticize, we complain, and we are looking at them in some of the worst situations, right? We're looking at all of the ways that they've disappointed us. We're looking at all of the ways that they fall short. We're looking at all the ways that they have just not met our expectations. And I know a lot of times when you're in that place, when you're in a tough place in your marriage, you sort of wonder, like, did I marry the right person? Can I continue on in a marriage like this? And it's so easy to get stuck looking outward. It's so easy to get stuck looking at what your husband is doing and sort of measuring him against this image of what you believe a husband should be and do. And I just wanted to flip the script a little bit and ask you, would you marry you? Right? Think about some of your worst moments. Think about some of the times when you're completely moody, frustrated, annoyed, you know, would you marry that person? Right? Because we're comparing our husbands on his worst days, right? In some of the worst situations, and we're not comparing ourselves in those situations. Somehow we have this grandiose view of ourselves that we are the wife doing things the right way. We are the one making all the effort. We are the one doing all of the things to try to make our marriage better. And so we're really comparing apples to oranges. And I want you to really think about this question. Think about yourself. Think about how you show up in your marriage. Think about some of the things you say to your husband. Think about some of the things you do in response to your husband's behavior. And ask yourself, would that be acceptable to you? Like, would you raise your hand and volunteer and say, yep, I will marry the woman that does those things. I would marry the woman who says those things, right? So often we give ourselves a pass, and the things that we do, if we really looked on the other side, right? If we really put ourselves in our husband's position and looked at what it's like to actually be married to us, even in those worst moments, right? He is putting up with a lot. And you're putting up with a lot, right? That's what marriage is about. It's about a commitment. It's about a covenant. It's about a dedication to being with each other, seeing each other through the good and through the bad. But a lot of times when it comes to the bad, we're only looking at the bad at the other person. We're only looking at the bad at our spouses. And so I just wanted to come on and give you a little bit of a mindset shift for you to begin to ask yourself this question: would I marry myself? Right? What is it like to actually be married to me? Is that an enjoyable situation? Or am I asking my husband, am I expecting my husband to be responding and treating me a certain way, when if I were in his position, I don't know that I would do the same, right? So that's what I want you to think about. Would you marry you? And if you look at some of the areas of your life, of the ways that you respond, the things that you say, the way that you think about things, and you find that it's sort of a little gray area, like, well, I don't know, that's really not probably the way to be, then I want you to change it. You know, my work is all about being intentional about how you show up, to identify who it is you want to be, how it is you want to be, and then to make the decision to grow and become that person. So if you're not sure that you would marry you, given some of the things that you say, some of the ways that you started acting, some of the characteristics that you've begun to embody, then change it. Identify one thing right now that you want to change, that you know you can do better and that you know you can be better in. And then be very intentional about growing into that person who does that thing that you know you should do, who says those things that you know you should say, right? It's all about being intentional. So I just want to encourage you that if you're not your best in your marriage right now, You can be. At any moment you choose, you can show up differently and you will get a different response from your husband. So if you're unhappy with how he is reacting to you, change the equation. And the first ingredient in that equation is you. So, would you marry you? If not, change it. Identify one thing right now that you know you can do better in and set your mind to do it. Thank you for tuning in. I will definitely be back with you sometime soon with more tips and strategies. And if this is the first time we're meeting, I'm sorry I didn't properly introduce myself. I am Dr. Siobhan Farad, relationship expert and marriage coach, and I help women develop the mindset and skills to create a happier and more loving marriage, all without having to make over the husband. And I believe the quickest way to your own personal happiness, the fastest way to improve your marriage is by taking a good look in the mirror. And this live stream was all about that. So again, would you marry you? I'd love to know. Leave me a comment and I'll be back with you soon. Bye-bye.